I was born in Westlake Village, California. I come from two parents that are LAPD police officers. My mom did sex abuse child unit homicide division. And then my father did SWAT and tactical training seminars for PD, and has now branched out and not doing just PD, but does civilians as well. Prior to that, he was a United States Navy SEAL or a frogman. So the shoes were quite big to fill, when I was a little bit younger. But, due to being born with a small bladder, that nixed me out from any military or anything else like that, which, thank God, but still, that kind of left me with a lot of resentment, because I wasn't able to, follow in the old man's footsteps and whatever. But I'm so glad I didn't, because as I get older, my viewpoints have changed drastically, and especially being out here on this side, I've kind of looked at it like a blessing, actually, because I think blue. I know cops like the inside and out, and I've spent more time in the police precinct headquarters, whatever, divisions, because my parents couldn't afford or didn't have the time to go to daycare and pick me up, or they worked too long hours. So, oftentimes from daycare, I'd go home with the daycare employee and spend the night over at their house. This is back in, the 80s and shit like that. But, so the old man and the old lady used to cart me into work and, either put me under the desk or tell me to go play racquetball or whatever, occupy your time. And, so I got to see a lot of things firsthand from like a vantage point that a lot of people won't ever get that opportunity to. And being out here now and homeless, I need to start applying that a lot more to getting some retribution. I don't want to say retribution, but able to help people out more, because some of the things they've done here in Washington is absolutely crooked. When I got here, I immediately got arrested for drunk in public, and I wasn't even intoxicated. I mean, I had a beer, and I had been involved in a car accident. Well, we hit the soft barrier because the freeway here goes into the downtown one way, and they open up the middle lane for that, right? And then at night, it goes the other way to ease the traffic out of the city.
The carpool lanes.
Right. So we had blown past, we were coming in to see the Space Needle, and we seen downtown pass, and we're like, whoa, what the fuck? And we were kind of high. There was a rainbow bus van, and the driver was like completely high as shit, but didn't see the soft barrier as we hit it at 75 miles an hour in a Winnebago. And I came from the back of the Winnebago, and I slammed my head all the way up to the front of the Winnebago. And I was like the one who was hurt the most, but I had like blood gushing down my head, and we had gotten off over at the 105 exit over on Aurora. And we were luckily able to get the Winnebago off the highway before the cops came. We pull into the mall over there, and there's like nobody there. The mall's about to be closed, like it's about to be dark, and there's only an Elephant bar that was still there at the time. And I had money. I had enough money to buy booze and stuff like that, and I hadn't quit drinking. And this is all because of getting laid off from my job. But anyhow, we hit the soft barrier thing, and man, shit, it fucking rocked our world. But
it sounds like it, man.
It's just funny, being up here, because shit like that happens. And then I got arrested after we had moved from there, and we found ourselves in some place called Renton. And there was a Walmart, so I went and I bought a beer, and I was drinking my beer, and then here comes PD, and they're arresting me for being drunk in public. I'm like, what the fuck?
Drinking in public or drunk in public?
They said I was drunk in public. Yeah, intoxicated. Because I had an argument with one of the employees there. Was rousting me for consuming a beverage. You know, I said, okay, I'm of legal age. You sell the beer there. I'm sorry, you know, like, I'm going to drink a beer.
So from California, you notice it's different.
Oh, massively.
A little more tight up here. Or something.
Yeah, I guess you could call it that.
Well, let's go back a little bit. You know, growing up in Westlake, you went to high school around there?
Yeah, I started out in Thousand Oaks. Went to Lindero Elementary, and from Lindero, my mom moved into Oak Park, which is the neighboring city next to Thousand Oaks.
Yeah, I have cousins that live Newbury Park.
Yep.
Thousand Oaks.
Yep.
All around there.
Yep. So my aunts and uncles used to live in Newbury Park, and then my grandparents had a house in Camarillo. So it was really cool. It was a huge estate, an avocado farm on one of the, well, as if you're getting off where the Camarillo airport is. You take that and you go all the way up to the top of the hill, and they live pretty much on the top of the hill up there. So
was it just you? You're the only child?
On my mom's side. And then my dad I have Abigail, Louise, Barbara, Jeremiah, Jordan, and Spencer.
So explain that. Your parents split up or
came
together?
They were divorced by the time I was age of 2.
And then your dad had more children with somebody else? No,
well, he'd already had children prior to having me. So
okay.
The oldest is Jeremiah, and then it went Barbara, then it was me, then Abigail's, Louise. Oh, wait, and Jordan, Jeremiah, sorry. I forgot about Jordan, yeah.
And you guys grew up together or no?
No, kind of, sort of. I was kind of like the black sheep for my father, you know. I always felt that he, you know, never really wanted me around or, you know, didn't love me or, you know, that sort of stuff. But I suffered a lot of abuse from him, mentally and physically, but more mental than anything else. I remember there was a time where I had pissed him off or something so bad that when we were driving from the beach coming back up Sunset Canyon, he pulled over and he drew his gun out and was like placing it in my hand saying, "You want to fucking kill me?" You know, and like just freaking the fuck out, you know, like.
And you're how old? Old enough to remember.
Yeah. Like pretty fucking young. And then there have been days where I got left naked on the side of the road at like a real young age. You know, he just dropped me at the bottom of the hill, you know, in the back of this canyon where the road ended, and just kind of left me, you know.
Did you ever come back as older and talk to him about this kind of stuff?
Yeah, he denies it. You know, he denies all of, like, any allegations that are fucking gnarly and, you know, yeah, that never happened. You're what does he say? You're delusional and, you live in a fucking fantasy world. You know, he used to tell me to pull my head out of my ass, that this is real life and you need to straighten up or, you know, it's going to be behind jail and prison for you. And, well, he's kind of right. It's been locked up a shitload of times, you know, which is not cool, but once I put the booze down, I didn't get locked up as much, you know.
What's going on in your high school years?
So I never graduated in any class from 5th grade all the way up until my senior year. My senior year comes and they say, "Oh, we're gonna have to hold you back," and all that time they had just been pushing me through to the next class, and
kind of falling through the cracks, but still.
Yeah, you know, and it's like my mom got like tutors and things like that, and you know, really went all out trying to get me to, like, catch up to everybody else. But I don't know, I was always, my head's were in the clouds a lot, I guess. And by the time I could understand where they were at, I was already way, way far behind.
Right.
And the teachers used to get pissed off at me and saying that I'm doing this shit on purpose and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I'm not trying to do anything on purpose. I'm trying to, like, understand where you guys are at. Like, I tell you that I need help, and, I get fluffed off because, they think I'm joking around or I'm a class clown or some shit like that. And it's like, wow, that used to piss me off a lot. So yeah, I went to another elementary school, which was, God damn it, there's another one. It's right off of Canyon. I'm having a blank on the name.
Okay, somewhere down there.
Yeah, and then I went to another elementary school again after that, still in Oak Park, but was newer. That was Red Oak Elementary. And then I went to Medea Creek Middle School, which was in Oak Park. And then from there I went to Oak Park High School, which was right across the street. Was there for until I did 1 year there. Then I went to Westlake Village High School. Then from there I went to Palisades Charter High School out in Palisades, California, which is more closer to Santa Monica, downtown, like that. Yeah, which was wild. I went from like a really, really like preppy, like, just a preppy white school to kind of getting kids bussed in from all over. So it wasn't like the worst school, but it was still a preppy school.
Different.
Yeah.
Different.
And I couldn't keep up. And by the time they gave a homework assignment, I'm like, where the fuck was that? And like I'd raise my hands and try to catch up, and it just, I was way too far,
And what was like the feeling?
Oh, this, I hated it. I hated going to school. I hated being outcasted and, made fun of because I, wasn't able to get the assignment right, or, just, it sucked.
But at some point, school ended or stopped.
Yeah.
Stopped going to school or what?
So yeah, so 2002, the World Trade Center, or 2001, World Trade Center came down, and I was out surfing, and this guy who was on the beach was, come in, we're being bombed. I'm like, what the fuck? So me and another friend, we paddled in, and we get to this guy's like really nice house right on Venice Beach, further down by Washington Boulevard and Sepulveda. Oh, not Sepulveda, but Washington Boulevard. And then I forget whatever the side street was, but his place was literally right onto the beach, So we come in, and we're standing in this guy's like massive living room, dripping from like, our wetsuits and shit. And we had just seen the second plane run into the tower. So from there, I was like, oh, what the fuck? But I had made a bad move. I stole a Boston whaler off of this yacht. And
you say you stole a Boston whaler? What's
that?
Yeah,
it's a skiff.
Okay.
It's a, you use it from your bigger boat to get inshore or putt around the marina or whatever. And I wanted to take a girl that I was trying to date, June Jakawa, and I wanted to like, serenade her under the stars and shit with like a bottle of wine and all this crap.
Her.
Yeah, and I took her out to like dinner, and then we went back to my friend Thomas Stickney's father's boat with Thomas. He had a car, and from there I had that brilliant notion to go clip this thing, and it was the dumbest idea I ever had. It was a stupid idea. I'm out in the middle of the water, and I'm trying to get this thing fucking started. And don't know and don't realize that the engine is seized. I found this out later. So I was dead in the water, and here comes, a flashy boat, and I've got like the most powerful bright light, like just beaming on me. I'm like, oh crap. Use the United States Coast Guard. Stay there, you're going to be boarded. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh shit. So they bring me alongside and they pull me up into their craft. And the old guy, the captain or whatever, knows my father. And I was like, oh fuck. And he said, yeah, I'm calling your old man. I'm like, oh God, I wish you'd just call regular PD. And so he calls my old man, and my old man came flying down there. And this is like probably around 1, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning now. And he pulls up in his Suburban, and I can hear him screeching the tires from like probably like a quarter mile out. And I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well. Prior to this, like I was able to live with my dad for one reason. I went to juvenile hall for trying to put a knife to my mom's throat and basically blackmailing my old man into taking me, which was a stupid fucking idea. One, my mom was able to disable me like no problem, and threw me in juvenile hall, and I mean, I guess it was rightly so, but I was angry and pissed off, and I thought she wouldn't allow me to go see my old man for this, that, or whatever, and it was just really a fucked up time, because I was young, dumb, and, I wasn't doing any drugs yet, everybody thought I was a doper, and actually I was like the furthest thing from it, so I went to juvenile hall, and then my dad asked my brothers and sisters if, I could come and live with them, and it was up to my sister Barbara, and luckily she said yeah. But going back to that night there on the boat, I had already, pissed him off from being in juvie. So he said, don't ever fuck up again, or, I'm going to put you in the dirt. And, we get home, and he's like, get your ass into the room, I'm going to work. And I'm like, well, it's a little early for the old man to be going to work, but whatever. So as soon as that door shut, I knew I needed to grab my surfboard, my golf clubs, and get the fuck out. And I did. I took my 9-foot long Becker semi-gun board that had my dad's badge number and shit written on it. It was a special board. I went down and hawked that thing for like $100 and my clubs together. And I got on the big blue bus, and it went straight to LAX. Told the lady at the terminal a cockamamie story that, I needed to get out to Nevada because my grandma just died, and I needed to go to the funeral and all that shit. And the lady could see in my face that something was seriously wrong, but she was like, I don't know what, told her just to go ahead and say, cool, you can board.
How old are you?
17.
Okay.
So I had my high school ID, and I gave that to her. And literally the towers had just came down, so security was still laxed at that point. It wasn't all beefed out yet. And that's the only way I was able to slip through the cracks. And I remember getting on that plane and going, oh my God, this is going to work. This is actually going to happen. And boom, the next thing I know, we're taking off. I'm like, okay, I'm out of California. Step one complete, because I knew if I stayed in California, they'd have a statewide APB out like instantly, and I'd be fucked. So I knew to get at least a state away. And I went to Vegas thinking it was going to be hot, and when I had left, this was in December 17th I left, so it's still
At night it's cold in the deserts.
Yeah, it's fucking horrible. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah.
And so I met these couple guys, and they had this old big ass...
You didn't know anybody?
Nope.
You just were like, picking this spot, Vegas, yep. I'm going, at 17.
Right.
It's very courageous and adventurous of you.
Yeah, and stupid, but it was fun. I stayed on, I walked up and down the boardwalk because they don't allow you to stop and sleep anywhere in the fucking hotels.
Loitering lost.
Right. And so I finally went out to the New York, and gave the one of the guys there another bullshit story. Same story of how my grandma died, and like my dad will be up here in the morning, and he comped me a room. He comped me a room for like 2 nights. I was like, what the fuck? I couldn't believe that worked. So here I am into New York, and then once that ran out, I had to, leave and go back on the streets, and I met a couple of guys.
And is this kind of, would you say this is the first time you kind of became, or were, I don't know, living on the streets?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like for the first time, from that plane ride, you're 17 on the streets.
Mm-hmm. And, oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, 17 on the streets, and then I met these couple guys from Utah, and they had come up to buy beer and take it back down to Utah, and they asked me if I wanted to go. And at this time, I thought I needed to cover my identity, so I went by the name of Rudiger Smolt, which I took it off of The Simpsons. Bart uses this fucking alias Rudiger Smolt for some reason. I thought it was hilarious. And I said I was from London and like did a whole London accent and all this shit. And the guys, I don't know if they bought it or if they were just like, whatever, dude, this kid really needs some help, and let's just, tag him along. He's kind of fun to hang out with. And I'd only smoked pot like one time before I smoked it in Vegas. And I remember hitting a joint and I puked like a mother. I mean, like right there on the boulevard. I just barely made it out of the dude's car, and I was ralphed like you wouldn't believe. And so they took me back to their hotel room, and I was like really bad, and then from there they're like, oh, I think the guy just needs to drink. And so they got me drunk. Oh boy, that was a demon and a half. Anyhow, they brought me down to Utah. I stayed at their house for like 4 weeks, and then I was just like, I had enough of the Mormon town where you can't drink, you can't do anything. I mean, it's like, no way. I don't know why people would want to live there.
Dry town.
Yeah, horrible. And I wrecked the guy's motorcycle, and he was really pissed off about that because it was a really nice dirt bike. And I said I could ride, and didn't know how to ride. Popped the clutch out, and I rode the wheelie for a split second before I rammed it into a car. And it was just really, really bad. But from there, the Mormons bought me a ticket to somewhere, and I was like, well, I don't want to go home, so let's go to San Francisco.
So you're just kind of going where life takes you.
Yeah.
And just meeting people, and you're 17, and I gotta ask, I don't know how old you are now. 40. Have you been doing this since you're 17?
Pretty much. I've been indoors for a little while, and that was through a really good friend of mine that was quite a bit older but took me under his wing, Ramon Sebastian, and his family was like heir to Marcos's right hand in the Philippines, so they came from money, like a lot of money. And I met Ramon at his company volleyball game they played like, I think it was like every Thursday night or some shit. They'd come down to the park, and I was always out, because like my mom was never home, and I'd always ask if I could play, and they said no, and I kept on asking, and finally they said yeah. And Ramon was the one who kind of took a shine to me or whatever, and pretty much treated me like, a big brother or, a friend or whatever. And it started out it became a lot more than that. But if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in half of these places that I've done and things I've done. So without him, I'd be pretty fucked. And then from meeting, well, like leaving, going into San Francisco, I stayed in San Francisco for like a week, and I was like, oh, fuck this place, I hate it. And then I remember I got some old gnarly dude that wanted to do some really fucked off shit, but he paid me $200. And I was like, all right, well, I got to do what I got to do out here on the streets, you know. I did it, and I was like, oh God, that was nasty. And I spent all $200, and I got as far as I could by picking out a spot on Greyhound, and I was like, I want to go there, and it was Clarksdale, Mississippi. And from there on, I was like, oh shit, never doing that shit again. It was really, really fucked off. It was San Francisco. But ended up actually returning there years later and working as a stagehand, and actually really liked the city. But, I knew from an early instance that I was not gay and did not like it. And, you know, doing that once for money, I was like, oh yeah, that's enough. You know, I'm good with that. So
you did that for money to like travel?
Yeah.
Or was there like substances in there involved too?
Oh no, not yet. Not yet.
You just needed money that desperately. Just to kind of
so
keep moving forward.
I was like, whatever, you know, he basically, you know, was like, you know, if you let me play around with you, you know, I was like, oh God. It was so gnarly, and it was so old, oh God, it was so fucking nasty. But anyhow, I remember like cringing, oh God, like through every bit of it. And finally, like, you know, the time was up where I was just like, okay, like, we're done. And so he paid me, you know, and I was like, thank God, you know, the guy actually paid me. I went back down to SF, and he dropped me off in like the gayest area, which was the Castro, which is the gay district out there. And from there, I found a place that sold Greyhound tickets, and I went and I bought that ticket that night, and at about 15 hours after that, I was supposed to be on my way to Clarksdale, Mississippi, but ended up getting intersected by two older gay guys, and they started a party with crystal meth. And that's when I started doing crystal for the first time. And boy, oh boy, was that fucking weird. But like, I liked it a lot. I was like, whoa, yeah, this is definitely for me, you know. So I put the ticket on hold, and I had like 2-week hold on that before I had to use my ticket or it would be done. So for like the next 2 weeks, I partied with these two gay guys, and not one of them ever tried to hit on me or anything like that. They just kind of like took me to a bunch of clubs that I was way too young to get into, but did. And they drove me all the way up to where they used to live up in Sacramento. And it was like a whole ping pong thing, bouncing from here to there and just going pretty much where, you know, the wind took me and the seat of my pants would allow me to go. So then I arrived in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and literally the bus driver kicked me off at the stop, and there's nothing around for miles. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, I'm fucked.
At any points you're like, I'm going to call my parents?
Oh, hell no, that wasn't an option.
You're just done?
Oh, yeah, there was not an option. No way. Absolutely not an option.
Or call friends?
The only real friend I had was like Thomas Stickney, the one cat, you know, but he pretty much betrayed me and, you know, was the one I eventually found out turned me into my sister and shit like that. So I was like, oh, you stabbed me in the back. And other than that, yeah, I didn't really have too many friends, you know. I was always kind of a loner kid. In Oak Park High School, I had my best friend, Laisha Jones, and Jonathan Morati, and Myung, I forget Myung's last name, but, and Wesley. Those were like my 4 guys that I hung out with a lot. That and the kids from my neighborhood that I grew up with. But Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have too many friends, so it wasn't really an option to call anybody. You know, it was just, I made my bed and now I got to lie in it, so to speak. So, thankfully to my saving grace, this old man drove by in a really long, I think it was like a Cadillac. I mean, it's one of the longest cars I've ever seen. And it's an old black guy, and he said, "Hey, what are you doing out here, sonny?" I said, I got off the bus. And he goes, "Oh, say no more. Come on. I'll drive you into town." And he drives me into this place called Clarksdale, Mississippi. And holy shit. I thought I knew what poverty was. And I'd seen a bunch of stuff that looked like trash on the side of the West Sunflower River. And I had made a comment, and he goes, "No, son, those are people's houses." I'm like, "Whoa, what? Like, what? Like, what?" And so I was like, "Oh, shit," like culture shock real fast. And I had picked Mississippi because, you know, again, it was in the wintertime, and I didn't think it snowed down there. I thought it was all nice and warm, and this is kind of like, shows you how ignorant and stupid I was, you know, and like, how much our public school systems failed me, you know, because like I didn't think it was hot down there or cold down there ever. I thought it was just hot. Stupid. Like I said, I lived a lot of my life in like side of my head and in the fantasy world, but thank God I've been able to pull my head out of my ass a little bit and, you know, retain some of the useful information that I've learned on the streets and from people that I was able to, like, you know, I get to get to this point where I'm at.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I'm curious about this point now.
Yeah.
Currently, where are you staying?
So I've got my wagon here with all my gear, and it's primarily 5 of those disaster blankets, the gray disaster blankets, a foam mattress, and a couple pieces of cardboard. Last night I found a TV, like, I don't know, a 32-inch TV. No power cord, but, you know, I can get one of those at Goodwill, so hopefully I can sell that so I can get some, you know, can I talk about dope and stuff on here?
Talk about whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
You know, no judgment here, like, I
cool.
can care less.
Yeah, that's like my big thing now is I broke my back in 3 different places. So I'm in constant excruciating pain, so I use fentanyl and I love it. You know, honestly, if fentanyl were to be taken out of my life, I'd be one miserable son of a bitch.
Like, elaborate a little bit. You love it because it like numbs the back pain? Yeah,
it does that, and I just like the way I feel on it.
And numbs, I assume, other things.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of things I don't like about the, you know, world of drug using, but you know, I can't really do much about that. So, but no, like, honestly, I think it should be legal like anything else. You know, if you want to take it to the extreme, okay, cool. But alcohol kills people more than that. You know, although Freddie has been doing a pretty good job of taking people out, but. I don't understand what the stigma is of if somebody wants to feel good, you're going to make it illegal for them to do it by saying that's an illegal substance that you're using, you know, and then they equate every other, you know, issue and problem that has nothing to do with it and they tag it onto it, and it sucks, you know, because literally, like, fentanyl helps me walk. Like, it's, you know, it's an expensive habit, which really sucks, and, you know, I've done a lot of boosting, and I've gotten caught quite a few times, but I get released, and then, you know, I'm straight back out here. When I did the 45 days in rehab and then 45 days in jail, you know, I was like freaking the fuck out. You know, like, people are like, "Well, why don't you just quit?" I'm like, because I don't want to quit. You know, like, I like being able to walk around without, you know, being bent over or, like not being able to walk at all because of my back pain, So, I personally love it a lot. I think it should be legalized. Hell, weed's legal now. Still on a federal level, it's
there's
illegal.
Lots of legal drugs.
Yeah.
Lots of illegal drugs. I know fentanyl. That's
that's
from what I hear.
Yeah.
Can kill pretty quick. You know better than I do.
Yeah.
You probably know people.
I've known a few people. Saved quite a few of them. Never lost anybody that I've been working with, but I know a bunch of my friends that I met out here are dead, and it sucks, But
and are you scared of that at all?
Oh yeah. I guess I am, and I guess I'm not. Of course I'm scared. That's one of my biggest fears is dying. I don't want to die, and if there was a way that I could, guarantee a spot of doing something more phallic or more, I don't know, just, I don't want to get any gnarlier and start going and committing like massive crimes to do my drugs. I wish there was a way that, we could allow us to just get drugs like Canada. Canada, they bring you and give you heroin, and then you have a safe place to do it. And Germany, there's a place over there that's the same way. Like, if you want drugs here, we'll give it to you. And they made it part of their their, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
No, yeah. Well, I think what you're saying, there's policies. They made it part of their policies.
Yes.
And there's clean drugs, and there's safe places to take them, and there's this piece of like we all have this autonomy to do what we want to do, and freedom to do that.
Yeah.
Like it's our bodies and your choice and my choice to, as long as I think we're not hurting anybody else.
Yeah.
I think what's hard is, because a lot of people will see this and say, oh man, like you have to support this, addiction.
Right.
You have to support it somehow.
Yeah.
And do these things
to
support it, which, my guess is doesn't feel good to like boost stuff, and it's not what you want to do.
No, not at all.
But it's like kind of like you're stuck in this cycle, addiction cycle of like
exactly.
And anyone who's watching this, it's hard to quit things.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't imagine like living on the streets trying to quit something.
Right.
It's like it's impossible.
And that's the other thing is like I don't want to quit, so I'm even more of a fucked space because it's like I don't like the things I have to do in order to get the drugs, so I panhandle, and that drastically reduces the amount of drugs that I can consume in one day. But for an addict, there's never enough drugs for one day. Like even if I had a kilo, I'd be like, I ain't got enough. And it's like fuck.
What kind of, for me, begs the question of, Justin, what do you want? Like really, what do you want?
So I want to be able to understand some of the things that I've been experiencing up here in Washington. Auditory hallucinations, but it's gotten much more than that. Physical gang stalkings, things like that. I think I hit something that I shouldn't have ever hit, but kind of unlocked me in a weird space to where like there's things that happen to me on a daily that shouldn't ever happen in reality. And I've expressed things to my people and let them know what the hell's going on, and they're like, what the fuck? But like, I've asked other people who aren't in our circle, are you seeing things like this? Like, weird things, I'm sure you see weird shit around here all the time. But it's almost like I'm being like remotely controlled, because like, I'll be off and doing something, and then all of a sudden, I kind of wake up out of a daze, and I'm off on some other weird tangent that I can't really deviate from, and I don't know why. And I've had to get like a lot of people's input to see if I'm like going crazy or not. And if I am going crazy, okay, cool, then it's a weird ride for me. But I wish there was a way that you guys could step in and really understand what the hell's going on, because it feels like I'm so close to like taking down, I don't know, I guess the corrupt government and like the corruption in police force, and also just, I don't know. It's really fucking weird.
It sounds confusing.
Very. And like, you know, I've chalked it up to like, okay, I'm going nuts, right? And I'll like things will stop for a little while, but then it comes back stronger and even harder, and it's like, it's really weird to have it come back like that, because then it's like showing its validity in reality, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if people who are mentally ill or going mentally ill are aware and conscious that they are. You know what I mean?
Right. And
maybe, I don't know. Or maybe some people are, maybe some people aren't.
And that's what I was thinking too. It's like, I don't know very many people like that are, you know, fucked off like that. When they're really fucked off, and I try to ask them, like, you know, simple sane questions like, do you know that you're nuts, man? And it's like,
it's just their reality.
Yeah, it's just their reality.
Watch that candy. The mic's gonna pick it up real
loud.
Oh,
sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. So like, it's I don't know. I made sure to try to keep my state of mind in the very forefront check, you know, to make sure that I'm not going too far Section 8. And if I am, I need to reel myself in, you know. And I've been placed into psychiatric facilities, Western State, Navos, fucking another one up here.
Oh, so in the past you've been...
Yeah, hospitalized a lot, and
okay.
They fuck with me a lot, man. Like, literally fuck with me a lot. And then, like, it's gone so deep to, like, I hear things that are trying to tell me that, you know, both of my parents aren't really my parents, that I'm not even a real person, that I'm some sort of fucking, you know, organic robot that doesn't even know he's a fucking AI robot thing.
What?
And it's just like, holy shit.
Do you see any correlation, connection to any drugs that you're taking with that stuff? Because some people would say...
Well, yeah. I guess they call it meth psychosis. But when I went sober, I was still hearing the same things. The hallucinations got stronger. I checked it out with people who weren't using at all, and they see and hear some of the things that I'm going through, and that makes it even more confusing. Like, what the fuck, you know?
I've also talked to people who are experiencing schizophrenia, who take substances to quiet the voices.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Right. And it feels like when I do meth and fentanyl, that a lot of that stuff in my head calms down.
Oh, right. So you feel like you're in more of a reality.
Right.
Stable reality when you do those
Yes,
things.
absolutely.
Interesting.
And that's...
which is also confusing.
Yeah. It's like, holy shit. And literally, like, often at night, you know, sitting by myself and not having... you know, something else to do besides just run with my thoughts. I mean, I've it's I don't know. I've come close to like pushing the envelope, but you know, my stable, sane mind says if I'm going to do that, I'm probably going to go to jail. So let's not do that. And I've had to ask for a lot of help, like, you know, from people out here. Like, dude, I think I'm going nuts. You know, if you see me doing this, pull me the fuck out.
Right.
You know, because
It was just scary.
yeah. And I honestly don't know what to do anymore. You know, like, I don't want to go through any psychiatric care because they pump you up with this shit called Haldol, and that shit's so fucking gnarly nasty that it makes me feel like I want to jump out of my skin, but then they have you strapped down to a table.
Because they give you other drugs.
Yeah.
Legal, like pharmacy.
And those are worse than the drugs out here.
Yeah, interesting.
And I told the doc, I was like, don't ever shoot me up with that shit again. Switch your medication. And he didn't care, and he gave me more of this shit. And kept me strapped down for the table for like almost a week.
Like against your will?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, fuck that shit, dude. Like,
who wants to go back there?
Hell no. Yeah. Fucking hell no. Anywhere where they lock the doors and tell you can't go, it's not a cool place.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like prison, jail, or this side
where
you've been.
Yeah.
Which, yikes.
And I would much be out here than any of those other spaces, you know.
Justin, one last question before we wrap up. It's getting
getting dark.
Is there anything you want people of Seattle to know?
Yeah, that we're human beings out here, and you know, every story is different, but when did we stop caring, you know, about like, or I don't know, when does a person, because they lose their house, automatically become the scumbag of America or of the world? And why do you guys want to kill us and hurt us for just trying to survive? Or you don't have any facilities for the bathrooms. Where are we going to go? We got to do something. We got to go somewhere. You tell us we can't go make our own homes out in the woods because it's private property, and you know, so then what do we do? Okay, you say that, oh, there's all these shelters and whatnot. There are shelters, but a lot of them are full. They've got waiting times, so you spend your entire day getting kicked out in the morning, waiting around to get back into this place where you may or may not receive a bed. Then your whole day's fucked. And then, you know, if you get a bed, you're doing it again in the morning. And you have to carry around all your stuff. They won't allow you to have too much stuff. It's a nasty cycle. And then, you know, we band together out here, and people think that we're just having a lush, grand old time because all the drug addicts are together. Well, you know, flock one together, you know, you do a lot better. Flock one alone, and you're going to die alone, you know. And I don't want to die alone, so I'd rather be with other people who are like-minded, you know. I just wish that, you know, things would start giving and relaxing a little bit more, and maybe trying to integrate us in other ways back into society, you know, or allowing us to pick up an odd job here and there and not always have to go online and do all this shit. Because honestly, our phones get stolen out here so much, our things get stolen on the daily, that, you know, if you have something, you can count your ass on you will not have it within a week, you know.
Survival, that sounds tough out here.
Yeah, it is and it isn't, you know. But
well, what I'm saying is people are doing what they need to do to survive.
Yes,
which is that.
Absolutely.
Thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to hear your voice. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let me grab that little mic and
yeah.
I got to take a couple photos and
cool.
have you sign this thing.